Now that we have all of the parts of our automata created, we're going to create the assembly. So you'll notice I have my box, I have my axle, my vertical dowel, I have an eccentric cam, my top follower, my crank, and all my other cams. We're going to click on the plus sign and go to Create Assembly. If this is your first assembly, an assembly would already be created, and all you need to do is open that assembly1 file. Okay, so we need to place some objects. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to place our box. So we'll go to Insert, and we're going to choose our box, and we're going to place it and make sure we hit the green check mark. Just so that our box is stable and doesn't rotate and go all different directions, we're going to right click it and we're going to fix it. Okay, so now everything is going to be built onto our box. Okay, so let's see what else we need to grab. We're going to insert our axle, and we'll just put our axle over here for a moment. We're going to grab our, let's see if I can find the anchor, and we're going to attach these two pieces. Okay, so we can move these out. And notice that the way we created our parts are oriented such that they'll work with our automata box. Okay, so I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to use the fasten mate to fasten the inside, and I want to zoom in and make sure I get the back face of the anchor dowel, and I'm going to rotate around and get this face. Okay, we'll go back to our regular view, and now I have these two pieces are constrained together. Okay, so we need to get this axle through the hole on the left and the right hand side of the automata. So to do that, we're going to use the revolute mate. Okay, we're going to, and notice there's a lot of movement when you are creating an assembly. We want to grab that circle hole right here, and we want to grab, see if we can bring this over a little bit. Oops, we want to grab the center of our axle. And sometimes you need to zoom out, sometimes you need to move over. Notice I need to get that circle like that. Okay, this stays behind, but as soon as I hit the green check mark, I have placed that axle through the holes. Okay, and since these holes are even, it went through both of them. But we're going to need to offset this a little bit. So if I come back into my revolute, I want to offset it. So let's see what happens if we offset it 1 inch. Okay, well, it went the wrong direction. So let's try -1 inch. Okay, and it went a little bit too far. So let's try -0.5. And we're going to want it a little bit more. So let's try -0.75. Oh, actually, -0.5 will work. It might be a little bit less than that. Let's see what happens to -0.75. That might be better. Okay, as soon as I click on the check mark, my anchor's there and my axle is through the center of my box. Okay, so I'm just going to tilt this a little bit. And if I right click on this revolute and I choose animate and play, I should see that axle spinning, which I do. Okay, so we want to keep returning to this revolute. So we're going to right click it and we're going to say show, and we're going to right click it and we're going to rename it, and we're going to call this revolute axle. Okay? We'll worry about the hand crank last. The next thing we're going to do is we need to get our top follower connected, and then we need our vertical dowel and our bottom follower connected. So let's go back and insert. Let's get our top follower. So get our top follower and get our vertical dowel. Now the way we created our vertical dowel is we created it with the vertical dowel and the bottom follower connected. Make sure here you always hit the green check mark. Okay, so we need to connect our top follower with this hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we get this circle. And we're going to, again, use the fasten mate. So I'm holding my pointer and I want to make sure that I grab that center, and I want to grab the center of this hole. And when I look at it, my top follower is now fixed and it can't be moved away from my Automata box. Okay, so next we need to get this dowel through that top follower and the hole. So we are going to choose the slider mate. So the slider mate will come here, and let's see. Let's grab, we want to make sure we grab the center of that hole, and we want to grab the center of our follower rod. Okay, and we should be able to, I'm going to hit the escape key. We should be able to move it up. Okay, because the next thing we're going to need to do is get our cams on. So let's choose our eccentric cam because that's the easiest one. Okay, and we're going to put that cam around that axle. Okay, so again, we're going to choose fasten mate. Okay, and we're going to want to fasten this hole to this axle. And we're just going to rotate it and zoom it back a little bit because we need to place it. And we're going to place it with an offset. So notice that we're going to place it, use the offset on the Z. So we're going to choose the Z there. And let's try a -4 and see where that goes. Okay, oh, we're getting there. Okay, so if we go -4, let's try a -4.5. Oh, and almost. Let's try a -4.25. Well, we're getting closer. And a -4.375 should bring us in line with the center of our follower. So we're going to save that. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to make a tangent mate for our cam and our follower so that as our cam moves, our follow follows it. Okay, so we're going to use the tangent mate, and we're going to choose the bottom of this. When you're choosing the bottom, make sure you see that little yellow line that chooses the bottom of the follower. We're going to choose the outside of our cam. Doing that should cause our follower to drop down to the cam. Okay, so I'm going to tilt this a little bit, and I'm going to come back to our axle, and I'm going to animate it and play it. And you'll notice that the axle is rotating, the cam is rotating, and the follower is following the cam. So that's good. So we're going to repeat the steps, and we're going to place a top follower the bottom follower with its rod, and another cam here. So again,